First to Louisiana Republican House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, who says it would be a horrible idea and a big deal. And you argue, Congressman, a constitutional overstep as well, huh?
Well, Neil, there are laws on the books, and frankly, one of the problems with our immigration system is the president's not enforcing existing law. He's not securing the border, which isn't just an immigration issue. It's a national security issue. It's time he starts doing his job.
All right, so what would Republicans do if he goes ahead and issues this executive order right after the elections, maybe as soon as tomorrow?
Well, you'll see a lot of pushback. In fact, you're already seeing, I think, his party pay a price at the polls. The fact that the president telegraphed just a few weeks ago that he's going to do something so offensive to the voters of this country that he wants to wait and try to hide it from him until after the election. I think he's going to start paying a price tonight in the elections, and if he tries to do it in Congress, there's going to be serious pushback, not just from Congress, but from the American people who want the president to go and secure the border, which is his job.
If he made a commitment to you, Congressman, I don't need you to legislate on air here, but I would be curious, a commitment to either beef up troops on the border, do something akin to what Governor Perry is doing along the Texas-Mexico border, would you entertain that deportation freeze?
Look, I'm against amnesty, Neil, so I think what we need to do is get back to the rule of law. And there are a lot of people, there are millions of people trying to come into our country legally that are playing by the rules. What message does it send to somebody who's waiting and doing all the right things if you're going to say, if you just ignore the law and disregard those rules, then you're going to be rewarded here in America? That's the wrong message. The president ought to be promoting a policy that actually encourages rule of law, and it starts with him enforcing the border instead of just looking the other way.
How do you think relations will be, Congressman, between the House and the Senate if it tipped Republican tonight? The Senate is considered more moderate than is the more conservative House, and that it might not be so easy for you folks to be on the same page when it comes to taking on the president.
Well, Neil, I think the first thing we need to focus on, especially in those first 100 days of a Republican House and Senate, is moving bills not just through the House like we've been doing to get our economy moving again, to get spending under control, frankly, to go into all of these problems that the president's health care law is creating and these regulations of his radical agencies. I think if you see good policies moving through the House and Senate to Barack Obama's desk, it's going to force him to finally do his job and actually make tough decisions, which he's avoided. Reed blocks that.
I'm sorry, sir. What if he pulls a Gerald Ford and just veto after veto after veto, make that his kind of signature that I'm just going to stop all of this stuff out of Republicans?
Well, it didn't end too well there for Gerald Ford. And frankly, if you look at the Bill Clinton model, I think it's a real good example of what can happen if we continue to move good bills. There were welfare reform bills that were moved to Bill Clinton's desk that he vetoed. He was opposed to a balanced budget initially until finally the country said, look, go manage your books. Go live within your means. Do welfare reform so we can actually get people out of poverty and back to work. And once the pressure built by the American people, Bill Clinton signed those bills. And in fact, the economy took off because of those good conservative policies. And Bill Clinton's traveling around the country today. Nobody wants Barack Obama or Harry Reid in their district, but they want Bill Clinton in their district because of those good Republican policies that he ultimately signed into law. We ought to give Barack Obama the opportunity to have those kind of bills on his desk. And I think at some point he's going to start signing those because the American people are going to demand it.
Well, very big difference then. Bill Clinton looked at the prospect of being a one-termer. This president has nowhere else to go, right? We'll see.
Well, he does want to have a legacy, and frankly, we have a path to get our country back on track, to get the economy moving again, to get spending under control. That's what we're going to push, and I think at some point the president's going to have to go along with us because the country is going to demand it.
Congressman Scalise, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time.